Hey, everybody. I'm about to start this episode of the Wadcast podcast. I am your host, Eddie Ift, and I want to thank you for deciding to spend the next 17 hours with me. I'm just kidding. Show's usually about an hour long, little over an hour. And today's episode, I have a really, really interesting guest, Daniel Cox, who was referred to me by a friend over in Las Vegas who's a big CrossFitter, told me that this guy is a very interesting guy and really nerds out on the science. And I didn't know how much he did. At first I thought this guy was I don't know if they call him a guest or what he was. He was a contestant on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette or whatever, The Bachelor in Paradise or two of these shows. And so I was like, all right, well, let's see what this guy's got. Turned out to be one of the nicest, most interesting guys I've ever met. Knows his shit. Has done Ironman triathlons, owns supplement companies, is involved in so many aspects of the business and really, really knows his science. So it was really interesting. What happens a lot of times is off air, I have these conversations that I wish could be on air. And again, with him, it was one of those. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for supporting. If you like the show, all you got to do is go to iTunes. I appreciate all the nice emails I get from people. If you wrote them on the iTunes review, it would be even better. So just review on iTunes, comment, and give me a review. Go 5-star review. 5-star review helps me in the ratings. I think we're considered like a health podcast. I don't think we're comedy. I don't know what we are, but it gets us in the rankings and more people find out about it. If you're a new listener, give me a hashtag new listener because I get the hashtag still listening. I'd love to find out the new listeners. Hashtag new listeners. I'm going to get into the Hunter McIntyre CrossFit Games conversation a bit before we start this. But I want to thank our Patreon sponsors, Myopucks and Leopard Claw. Myopucks is an electronic muscle stimulator. It's incredible. Anytime you have an injury, it's going to speed up the process. What it does is it makes the inflammatory process still happen, but it flushes all the congestion out. So it happens faster. So you don't prevent it. You don't slow it down with icing or compression or rest or any of that stuff that we've all learned about. What you're doing is you're actually speeding up the process. You're getting the new proteins, all the good stuff, all the good blood to come there to fight the inflammation, to fight the damaged tissue, and to pump the blood, basically. You're pumping the blood through the muscles with these electronic stimulations. So it's a machine. It's like $450 and at myopucks.com. And we also give you a Leopard Claw, which is it's a tool that you use to scrape out any fascia, any adhesions that you might have in an injured area. I use it all the time. I just used it recently below my knee on that tendon area that you get that runner's knee or whatever they call it. Yeah, I'm a runner, guys. I'm a runner. I'm a real big runner now. But it just helps in so many ways. Helps with tendonitis, my forearms. It's great. So if you donate at least $5 a month to our Patreon, you end up with maybe with one of these. We pick someone every single week. So Jacob Morgan, congratulations. You just won. How about that? You just won a Myopucks and a Leopard Claw. So send me a message, and I'll make sure we get that out to you. And you can always email us if you have not received yours. If you have not received yours and I've called your name, send us a message at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. That's wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. You can send us any kind of questions there. You can do it at Instagram too. Instagram's at wadcastpodcast. I also have my own Instagram at Eddie Ift. You can follow me there. All I do is post pictures of me being an idiot or at shows or promotions or my kid. I'm just having a good time. The 68-mile run, it's happening, guys. I'm getting further and further along and farther down the trail. I ran 15 the other day on the trail, and that's nothing compared to the 68 I'm going to have to do. So if you're interested, I've had a whole bunch of people get a hold of me. If you're interested in coming with us, it's going to be November 22nd. That's a Saturday. We're going to go from the Palisades in Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles all the way to Point Mugu, which is in Ventura County. It's 68 miles, over 16,000 feet of elevation, trying to break 24 hours. And we're going to do it for the firefighters who fought for their families, any fallen firefighters and their families, to raise funds, raise awareness. These are the guys that helped fight the fires in Malibu. The mountains that we're going through all burned down, and now you'd think it's just going to be like we're running through the moon. It looked like that for a couple months, but the rain came, and now it's incredibly beautiful. So it's as green as I've ever seen it, with tons of flowers and stuff, and some of the greatest views you'll ever see in your life. It goes all along the coast, along the ocean. But it'll be probably pretty brown by November. And I'm also just trying to put it way off so that it's going to be cooler in November, and hopefully cool. And we also will have, it's going to be a lot of night light then, not a lot of daylight, which is not great, but not bad because of the heat. But, and that way we have enough time to train, because I know it's a long time to train, and Hunter McIntyre keeps telling me I'm a pussy and I could do it tomorrow. But I don't want to, it's tough on your knees, so I don't want to fuck anything up. But I'll have the Myopox. I'll probably have it with me. So if anyone's interested, get a hold of me. I know Tommy Hackenbrook says he's coming. I've got Winston Fisher, who was a guest on here, says he's coming. Dustin Fierro's said he was coming. A lot of these guys are machines, so I'm going to be the guy dragging up the end of it. But it will be fun. We'll probably podcast about it. I've got an interesting podcast this week. We're going to do a pre and post Murph. Pre and post Murph. So I'm interviewing a strongman, one of the top bodybuilder weightlifters in the world, and he doesn't even know it yet, but he's doing Murph. He's coming to work out on Monday, so we're gonna do the podcast before it, and then the podcast after it, and see how he does and how he feels. So I was like, hey, we'll do a half hour before and a half hour after. And everybody was like, why don't you do an hour before and 5 minutes afterwards? And I was like, yeah, that's probably a better idea. Murph's going to hurt me. I haven't done Murph in a long time, so I don't know how I'm going to do. I hope you guys are all doing it. I hope you're all ready for it, and I hope you don't get Bell's palsy from it. Yes, I do believe that's how I got it. Anybody who disagrees with that can go fuck themselves. I don't have anything else to plug other than my dates. I do stand-up comedy. I like you to come out and see me. I will be at the Las Vegas. I keep going. This is the last time I'm in Las Vegas. The very last time till February of next year. So if you want to come see me, in Las Vegas, I'll be there June 3rd to June 9th at the Comedy Cellar, which is an awesome club. It's in the Rio Hotel. The club is unbelievable. It's a lot of locals come to it because they think it's the best show in the city. So all New York comics come out. It's great. 2 shows a night, 7 and 9 o'clock. And then where do I go after that? My schedule is, really, none of my calendars up. It's terrible. I got to get my calendar updated on eddieif.com. But I can tell you by looking at it on my phone, this is terrible that none of these are up. So that's June 3rd through 9th. This weekend, if you're around, I'm at the Ice House in Pasadena on Saturday night in Los Angeles. And then June 3rd through 9th, Las Vegas. Let's see what else. June 13th through 16th. Oh, got to buy that plane flight. I'm going to be in Atlanta at the Punchline. Come see me there. June 21st, I think I'm at Skankfest in New York City. June 22nd, I'm in Mount Holly, New Jersey. June 23rd, I'm in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. June 26th, I'll be at the Empire Casino in Yonkers, New York. June 27th, I'll be at the Comedy Cellar in New York City. June 28th, I'll be at Valley Forge Casino in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And then I am off for 2 weeks because my wife is having a baby. June 18th through 21st, I will be at Hyenas Comedy Club in Dallas. June 25th through 28th, I'll be at Chicago Zanies. Zanies in Chicago. That should be fun. First time there. If you're Chicago people, come out and see me. That was all July. July 25th through 28th. July 18th through 21st was, Hyenas. August 1st through 3rd, I am at the Funny Bone in Omaha. Then August 8th, 9th, 10th, I'll be at the Dead Crow in Wilmington, North Carolina. August 22nd through 25th, I'll be at Liquids Comedy Club in Boise, Idaho. And then, August 29th to September 1st, I'll be at Hyenas in Fort Worth. And then you can see me in San Diego at the Comedy Store. And then I think I'm doing the Malibu Triathlon, September 13th, 14th, that weekend. So I'll be in LA. Check out all my dates, eddief.com. I'm going to make sure they're uploaded. And let's get into, before we start the show, let's get into the, Hunter McIntyre debate. If you've checked out Armin's show on YouTube, Armin does a great show on YouTube, Armin Hammer TV. Check it out. He had a great debate between, Dan Fikowski and Hunter McIntyre. Dan is very upset by Hunter not qualifying for the games and getting what Glassman calls the blowhard invite. They said there were going to be a number of, I think they said 4 wild card invites to the CrossFit Games this year. Everybody's up in arms about the new structure of the CrossFit Games. Anytime there's change, people don't like change. To be honest with all of you, I don't give a fuck. I enjoy watching the games. I like seeing human performance at this high level. I think it's amazing what these guys do. I think they put in the time to do it. They're all exceptional athletes. I think they're a bit insane to work out as much as they do and devote as much time they do for what they get out of it. But hey, there's a lot of Olympic athletes that do the same exact thing and don't get shit. So, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy, I'm fine with it. What I don't understand is all of these people so upset that Hunter McIntyre did not qualify by doing the open, doing it well, or going to a sanctional event. He finished around 1,000 in the open, and he finished, he didn't do any sanctionals, and Hunter is a high profile person. I gotta interrupt and say, I am friends with Hunter McIntyre. Hunter is a great friend of mine, hilarious guy. I love Hunter. I support him in this. This is very controversial. I give a lot of people shit that get into stand-up comedy that use the sport to increase their profile or make some quick cash. People like, I'm not going to say their fucking names, but I get upset about it because they take work away from stand-up comedians that work really hard. So I'm being a hypocrite by supporting Hunter because in my own livelihood, I get mad about it. But at the end of the day, I don't really, like I did initially. I was like, oh, fuck these people that come into my business and try. Because you know what? There's enough business out there for me. I just find my own business. If people want to go see them, they can go see them. But people go, oh, there's a limited amount. No, there's not. Just work harder, get better. If you're good, you'll beat them. You don't have to worry about them. But he got in, he didn't qualify. Listen, there's a lot of people that use PEDs that cheat their way in. Okay? And then they get caught. And no one gives them shit ever. No one talked about Ricky Gerard. No one, that was here and gone. I've never seen so much controversy as Hunter getting into the games. Which Armin tells me he's in for sure. I saw Glassman say it in the interview with Armin that he was invited. He has not been officially contacted. I don't know if it's even happening. So to hold your remarks till he shows up in Madison. Secondly, or tertiarily, is that a word? I don't know. How do you say tertiary in that form, that tense? Hunter did, if they're bringing the national champion of every country that does CrossFit. Hunter in the open beat of like 170 some countries. I'm throwing out random numbers, but it's something like that. 170 some countries that are sending a national champion. Hunter beat all but 17 of them in the open. Okay. So let's just say he had a little bit of Estonian blood in him and he went and qualified in Estonia. Would you be mad? Or did he cheat his way in? Or would you be happy that he did that? Because there are ways in like that. And I'm sure there are people that did that. They just put that as their, I don't think it had to even be your birth certificate. It just has to be the country you reside in. So let's say he went for a couple months and lived in Estonia and then got into the games. Would you be like, okay, he followed the rules correctly? I understand about following rules. And here's the thing. He did. There were wild card positions and people were out there going, well, those are for people that were injured or No, who are you to say? You're not the arbiter of this. Greg Glassman created his own definition of fitness. Greg Glassman and the CrossFit people then created a competition around his definition of fitness. So who are you to make the rules? You don't make the rules. They make the rules. They defined fitness. They think they know what it is. This competition defines it. They are allowing someone like Hunter McIntyre into it. I loved when Hunter said, just do your fucking job. Beat them. You're probably all going to beat them anyways. Well, then someone didn't get in. There's a lot of people that don't deserve to be there that are in it. Look at most of these national champions don't deserve to be there, but they are. So if he's not good enough, he won't be there. I think a lot of people are afraid because he probably could do pretty well in any workouts that are cardio centric, that are focused on cardio. He's got a great engine. He's proven himself as a world champion, Spartan racer and Tough Mudder obstacle course racer. He's won, the broken back challenge or fucking backbone. Brokeback Mountain challenge, whatever it is. Stone Cold Steve Austin's shit where men act like men and beat the shit out of each other and then do an obstacle course. He kicked ass in that. He beat a lot of CrossFitters. No CrossFitter beat him in the toughest mudder. A lot of them tried. He beat them all. They came into his sport. He beat them. Just beat them. That's all you got to do. Just beat them. But here's the problem. And this is what I've said for years. And people get mad at me when I say, I told you so. CrossFit for a long, long time, I believe has been more focused on Olympic weightlifting than anything else. CrossFit, by definition, was a combination of Olympic weightlifting, gymnastics, and sprinting, I think, going way back. I could be wrong. I have no certifications whatsoever. I've never gone to a cert. I don't know. I don't follow the Bible. I never read the journal. So I might be talking out of my ass right now. But I believe it was a combination of those three things. Okay. Well, I just had this conversation with Armin today where I said, if you took, an Olympic level, like a top world-class level Olympic weightlifter who was average in CrossFit and put him in the games against a top level gymnast, a world-class gymnast who was good at CrossFit and a world-class sprinter or runner who was good at CrossFit. You put these three against each other. The Olympic weightlifter is going to win every single time. So the sport is skewed more towards Olympic weightlifting. However, when you get to the games, to make the competition more enjoyable to watch, they put in a little more of a racing effect, which makes it some of the events more cardiocentric. We had cyclocross. I'm not part of this. They had cyclocross. They had the run, swim, paddle. They have obstacle courses. There are multiple events that show, which I believe make it more broad and give a better concept of what fitness is. Because yes, the weightlifting is a very, very important part of it. But so is the metabolic conditioning or the cardiovascular endurance or whatever it is. There are many attributes. And if you read the definition of fitness, now Hunter coming to the games could throw that off because he does have a possibility of winning some of those events. And now there's so much chaos involved in this. Like there's chaos theory. Like you never know what's going to happen. Could he hold up? Does he have the muscular stamina, strength, to be able to handle the volume, the 3 events a day, or maybe he has a better ability. But that's the whole idea for the wild card, to see if someone from another sport comes in and how they can do against these guys. So fucking get your heads out of your asses and stop being babies. And it's weird that the people that are most upset, I see a lot of games athletes that are upset, but the most upset are guys that were never going to make the games ever in their life. You're never going to make it. Hunter has a better chance than you. I mean, it's these people that are finishing, 20,000th in the open, and, he beat you all in the open. So let it happen. Look, it makes it more exciting. It makes it more interesting. We all liked watching Conor McGregor get his ass kicked by Floyd Mayweather. Didn't you? Didn't you like it? It was pretty fun. It was one of the most watched fights ever. And was Conor McGregor qualified to fight Floyd Mayweather? No. Bo Jackson. These guys get into other sports. It's fun to watch. Just let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. Let's watch it and stop being bitches on social media and attacking people, because it's hilarious. I'm just watching you all lose your mind. If you want to get mad about something, get mad about the fact that PED tests don't work and that anybody can use drugs and get in the games. If you want to get mad about something, get mad about that. And if you say they work because they catch people, they don't. They catch idiots. That's enough of my rant. I'd like to just get to this episode, and I hope you enjoy it. It's Daniel Cox, athlete, bachelor. He's not a bachelor anymore, but he was on The Bachelor. Bachelorette, I think it is. Bachelorette. And he's just an entrepreneur and geeks out on the science of everything, endurance athlete, and just an all-around great guy. And I had a really good time talking to him. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Ift, and I am here in Las Vegas again. I keep saying that again and again and again. I feel like I live here half the time. Not that I want to.
It's not a bad place to live.
It's not a bad place once you figure it out. But when you stay on the Strip all the time, it's terrible. That is our guest, Dan Cox, who is here via recommendation. This is crazy how this happened. My friend Isaac Toomer, who was a coach over at CrossFit Max Effort, rest in peace. Zach, what are you doing? What happened? We got to get to Zach about that. Anyway, Isaac, I had said to him a while ago, hey, I'm coming to Vegas. This was a while ago. I said, I need some good guests. Do you know anyone there? And he recommended you as one of the people. So then I forgot about it. And then somehow, I don't know how I stumbled across your Instagram. I have no fucking idea how. But I just started
just deep creeping, and then
I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden I start looking at your posts, and I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And I'm reading your stuff, and I'm like, this guy nerds out and gets into it. Who is he? And then I'm like, he lives in Las Vegas. And then I think I told Isaac, he was like, who do you have on this week? And I said, I have this guy, and I've got Dan. And he goes, yeah, I recommended him to you. And I go, no, you didn't. He's like, yeah, I did.
Here's
like,
the DM.
He's like, go look back in this text series. He's like, I'm the one who recommended him to you. So maybe
awesome.
it was that he recommended him. Then I added you on Instagram. Then your post came up.
Got it.
But very interesting guy. Most notably, probably not the thing that you're most proud of, but being on season 9 of The Bachelor, was it?
Season 9 of The Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette. So 1 of 26 dudes, which is an awesome experience.
Wait, I thought The Bachelor is a whole...
I was on The Bachelorette, so there was one girl, and then I was 1 of 26 guys. Realized very quickly I wasn't what she wanted. And I didn't play into the game too much on the show. But then got invited back like 3 years later to Bachelor in Paradise, which was an unbelievable experience.
Where'd they send you?
So we were in Mexico, just north of Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
So in Sayulita.
Dangerous at all?
No, it was, security everywhere.
Yeah.
And, when we went out on dates, it was like a caravan. It was like literally like presidential caravan, like 3 Jeeps in front, 2 behind, the cars, like in case anything went
But
down.
was it a fun experience?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I had a blast. So like even The Bachelorette was fun, don't get me wrong, but I didn't know any different, right?
Right.
Once I did Paradise, it was nice because it was like a reunion with all the producers. It wasn't everyone's first rodeo, and you're hanging out. It was less pressure. Like there's multiple girls, multiple guys. So it wasn't like the, laser focused on one person and it's make or break. So
like it wasn't the cock blocking Olympics.
Exactly. It was so intense.
So, how did you get involved in the first Bachelor?
My buddy's wife submitted me, as like a joke. So I was working at the time for my buddy's dad, and he basically, I didn't know this, but she reached out to him and was like, listen, I just want to put Dan on. I don't, long shot it's even going to happen. Right. And so he, at the time being my boss she was like, I want to know, like, can he go if he gets this? And he's like, yeah, fuck. Like, of course he's not going to get it, And then literally I just get a call one day from the casting agency and they're like, hey, we, came across your information and love to, and this is this is pre-Instagram.
Right,
Instagram had just come out, I think, at the time. And so they were like, can you film a video for us? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, this is before it was cool to like take selfies of yourself, And so they're like, well, we'll fly you out to LA. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that. So I went out there, met him. Everyone was great. And then, started the process. And then basically it was like the last part of it is like a 1 weekend in a hotel room where they lock you in. And it's like,
oh my God.
Oh, it's like psychoanalysis. You meet with a shrink.
Oh my God.
You do blood tests. You do
STD
God. tests. Like they test for drugs, like urine tests, everything. Like it's crazy. And then, so after that, I was like, it was 48 hours in a hotel room. Like, I think there's 2 quizzes with like 500 questions. Like it was just intense. And I'm like, if I don't get this shit, I'm gonna be pissed now. Like before I really didn't care. And then, they called me like a week later and we're like, we want you. I'm like, okay.
And you had to sign a non-disclosure that was probably like
super thick,
as thick as the Bible.
Yeah. They actually bring you into a room with a lawyer and he like scares the living shit out of you. Like if you say anything, like doing, like any secrets, you're done, like, they'll come after you. So,
wow.
And this was back before they knew the value of social media. So they were very protective of kind of the secrets of the show. And, they didn't want anyone to know who went home for it and all this stuff. Now, like producers send you pictures, like behind the scenes, what was going on. Like, can you post this? It's coming up in this episode. And
so everything's revealed now?
Well, it's not that it's revealed. It's just, they realize the value of the, the people that were on the show, the cast, how much value they have, because they basically make them stars, but then they become their own microphone to be able to like promote and get people to come watch the show. So they want you during the season. It used to be you couldn't open up any of your social media until the episode where you were kicked off.
Wow.
Now it's like start throwing out teasers. Let's get this ball rolling. Yeah. So, and it's free. It's free promotion for them.
And you weren't you have a pretty big social media following now. You didn't have it then. Did you?
Oh, zero. Yeah. So like I got an Instagram account when I came off The Bachelorette. And then at that time it was like, I mean, maybe like
what were you doing at the time that you think they took a liking to you?
From like what was I doing?
Like what was it about you that they were like, this guy will be a good candidate?
No idea. Because again, there was no like digging deep into social media at the time. Now I think they do look at like, oh, your lifestyle and like, oh, it looks like, you do cool things and you'll be fun and you can actually see video of people, right? If they're casting for a show, you just go to their Instagram and you can find videos of how they are on camera.
Right.
Back then it was literally, I think my buddy's wife submitted like Like, I'm not joking. It was like photos that were like slapped to a piece of paper, scanned and emailed. And then that was it. And it was just like a bio of, I guess, yeah. I mean, it was just based off personality, like face to face.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Because I know, they probably told you the number of how many people apply. It's probably like astronomical.
Yeah.
So my dad loves that show for some reason. Yep. My dad will call me and be like, "Hey, I gotta go. I gotta watch this. It's crazy.
Can't even DVR
He's like,
that shit.
It's crazy what's happening." He's like, "You got to see this." I've had a little experience with reality shows, and mine wasn't very good. You were on 3 weeks, and then
Wait, what were you on?
Last Comic Standing.
Okay,
which
all right.
every comedian's done, and and we all do it begrudgingly. And it's one of these situations where if you win it or in the top like 3, life is good.
Yep.
If you're anything else, you regret doing it.
Got it.
So I'm in the regret.
Okay.
And it was just a disaster. But you made it to what, week 3 in the first one?
The first one, week 3. Yeah.
And then when you came back, Bachelorette in Paradise.
Yep. I stayed through the whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. So, yeah, go ahead.
So you were down to.
So the way Bachelor in Paradise works, it's unique. So it's 7 guys, 7 girls. Is the start.
Okay.
So they put you on a resort. You literally just like, they have they have cameras everywhere, right?
I think I might have watched this.
It's so good. Like compared to like Bachelor.
Do they
Bachelorette,
switch you to date like all 7?
Yep. So,
I have seen this.
So basically, how it works is when I was on, the guys had the power the first week. So for the first week, you get to date, you get do whatever, you're hanging out on a resort together. And then they bring in 2 new girls. And then, so now there's 9 girls, 7 guys. Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good ratio, right? So then from that point, the guys have the power, and then they give roses out to the girls they want to stay.
Oh,
so there's 7
girls.
guys giving out roses. So 2 girls end up going home. The 2 girls that get to come in, they get date cards. So they get to they have an advantage because they take people out, right? But the girls who are there originally have the advantage of spending a week already with the guys. So then the next week, 2 new guys come in. Then there's 7 girls, now 9 guys. And then the girls get to decide and pick the guys. So it just goes back and forth each week.
So how many of these girls did you bone?
0. No, I mean, so there was
Does that happen?
Yes, it does. And so it does with the couples that end up usually staying together. Yeah. And then because they end up staying together, they usually, ABC, it's a family show. They don't want to make a mockery of them. So they usually don't, they're not going to show anything.
Right.
But it was a joke we had that was like, so when you go into the room, you have cameras following you everywhere. And then when you go to bed, you get demiked. But there's still cameras and microphones in all the rooms. So, it's like the Truman Show. They're literally like
so they
following
had
you around.
sex with cameras on them.
Oh, 100%. So that was the joke. It was like, okay, you can either go into this room and you can do your thing. And whether you're having sex or not, it's going to look bad if you're under the sheets. Like they can make it look however they want, right? So you can be, no one's going to see anything, but you're going to be under the sheets. They're going to make it look horrible.
So basically, you better put on a good show.
Or you just strip down naked
and go
for it. And you're going to know that it will never be shown on ABC, but you got to be happy and comfortable with like 50 grips and like producers in a van watching.
And that exists somewhere. You have a digital
tape is there.
You have a digital a footprint somewhere.
It was funny because like you're constantly aware the cameras are there. But I think you go in and out of awareness of like, oh, all this is going to be out there. Like millions of people are going to see it. And so it's just kind of like, it's a funny, it's the craziest like social experiment you can imagine basically.
And at the time when you were doing this, what were you doing for a living? What was
so
the job?
I was working for a beverage company. It was an alcohol company that we had a packaging patent on packaging multiple alcohol products together. So I was in the wine business for like 7 years. Prior to that, I was in that kind of healthy beverage business and got recruited in the wine business. Then got recruited into this startup.
So they were like, let's get out of the healthy into the unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the healthy.
Exactly. So I was doing this, this startup and my buddy's dad was the boss. So he he gave me air cover to go off and do it.
That's cool.
And yeah, it was a great experience. So that was during Bachelor or Bachelorette. Then Bachelor in Paradise, I owned my own store. So I think at that time I had two or three nutrition stores. And so I had in my contract that I was able to at least check email once a week. And
nice.
I had hired like a bunch of good guys. Like, so I basically was giving out like,
you're like, take my company. I got to go basically try to bone 7 chicks.
Exactly. So I was like, literally, I was like, well, let's see what happens. Like, this is either going to be a really good test. Like, I can leave my business, but it was complete, like, zero communication. And when I got to check emails, it was on a producer's phone, like, with them over my shoulder, like, and I'm just like scrolling through to make sure, like, none of the buildings burned down or anything.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like,
did you, did any of the girls that you met in this, did you have any kind of like, do you connect with them now? Did anything work out from it?
Not on the show.
Yeah.
So, I dated two different girls on the show, and they were great. Like, it was fine, but it's funny. The show like accelerates your dating. So a lot of people watch it and are like, how the fuck could you fall in love in, in 2 weeks or whatever? 2 weeks on that show is like
an eternity.
It's ridiculous.
People don't understand that. Yeah. I've done a little bit of film and TV, and when you're on a set, you're working in such close quarters and so much time together. 'Cause like, you can't get away from the people. Yeah. You're with each other constantly, all day, all night. You wake up, you have breakfast together, you have dinner, and you do. And set romances happen all the time, right? All the time. Yeah. I've seen it way too many times, but I just wonder if like afterwards, if you guys like, hey, remember me? I was on the Bachelor with you. Let's go out without the pressure.
You know what? I think some people do. And like, especially if like there were some people that didn't date on the show, but then like there's so much like after the show stuff, promotional things, you do these parties and like charity events. So there's so much interaction after that. I think there are people that do that. And then it's also the reality, right? Like the people that work together on the show, when they get off, life happens and like all the other factors. And so they break up, or it makes them stronger and they're like, oh, this is great. We get to spend,
So how many people watch the show?
Oh God. I think The Bachelor's the number one.
Right.
God, I don't even want to quote numbers that aren't right.
It would be somewhere like 10 million,
it's,
right?
Yeah, I think it gets close to that. I think it's like 8 to 9 million. Bachelorette's like 6 to 7. So, and then Bachelor in Paradise.
So
like 5.
when you were walking around, you were getting recognized, probably.
When the show was going on, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was absolutely. I've never seen like. I get why people get addicted to that. Yeah. It was nuts. Like I remember vividly we had an event in Nashville and we were in a bar and there was like, Miranda Lambert was in the bar, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I was with 3 other people from the show. No one gave a shit about Miranda. And I'm like, we're in Nashville, like home of country music in a bar. And like Miranda Lambert's like looking at us like, who are we? Cause everyone's like coming over, taking pictures. Like it was just madness.
It's amazing how much niche fame there is. And that's not even niche. That's mainstream because that's 10 million people in America. That's as mainstream as you can get now. But I've seen it where I was doing a show in Minneapolis and the comedy club was in a mall, and out in the mall, some YouTuber was like talking to these little girls, and the entire mall was flooded with people. And I had never heard of this person. Still don't know who she is, and never has like come into my life again. But yet, it's like, there's this like adoration for this person, and it's just everybody has their thing, and there's so many people and so much fame and so much. But I'm weirded out by it because I've never felt comfortable with any kind of fame or any, when I do something on TV or the recognition afterwards, because I always feel like all I do is a job. And everybody does a job. And it could be the hardest job in the world or the easiest job or the most bullshit job. Mm-hmm. But we all do it. And like my job's fun.
Cream rises to the top, right?
My job's fun. But I watch guys that like, pick up garbage. And their job looks not that shitty because now it's kind of cool. The robot picks it all. But like some shitty job, like you clean bedpans in a hospice or something. That's a shitty job that I could never do. Mm-hmm. I don't have the ability to do it. So someone that does that, I look up to them like, wow, you can do something I can't do. So I not put them on a pedestal, but I treat them as equally as if Tiger Woods walked down the street. I'd be like, wow, you do something amazing. You play golf and shoot, under par, four strokes under par every time. You're amazing. So is this guy that cleans a bedpan. So I kind of treat everyone equally. Yep. And I never found, I guess there are some people that I kind of geek out. But but for the most part, I don't understand that weird screaming.
Yep.
Like, oh my God.
Freaking out.
Yeah.
So it's attention, right? It's people that have other people's attention. So like when you're on stage, you have everyone's attention. So people are drawn to you because there's nothing else going on, right? Like when the TV's on and they're sucked into the TV watching, like the people on TV have the attention of those people and they become emotionally invested. And then so like no one's sitting watching the person cleaning bedpans, right? Like they have no one's attention.
It's so weird though, because I feel like at the comedy club, like when we're done after a week of doing shows, I look at the whole staff, like the sound guy, the waitresses, the bartenders. Like we all did this together. Like I couldn't have done this. Yeah, I was doing one job because I always look at, when I'm on a set, the actors, I never put an actor on a pedestal because I know the hard work's done behind the scenes. So when I'm acting, I feel like I'm a fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
Like sitting here in my trailer all day long and they call me out for 5 minutes to like say a line and then put me back in my cage. Yeah. And I'm always like, why are the actors these people that are put on a pedestal? And it's a really weird thing. And it goes on in CrossFit. CrossFit's like watching these guys that are really, really good at CrossFit that have they've worked really hard to become top pro CrossFitters. And it's like, that's great. They're talented. They've worked harder than anyone, but other people have chosen to work hard in other endeavors, whether it be their family or their job or whatever it may, and it may not be as glamorous or whatever it is, but it's this whole spectacle. I'm rambling, but I saw it once in psychology. I took a psychology class for like a week in college, and they said that if you roll an orange or you put an orange on TV every day for a month, you put that orange on TV, just like the fruit, an orange, and then you roll it down Main Street, everyone's going to stop and go, hey, look, there's that orange. And it's that point of reference that we all have, that we all know that orange because we were like, we saw it, we can relate to that, we know that. And it just constantly baffles me. And you got to experience it. I've seen friends, a good friend of mine's Tiffany Haddish, and she went from being like nothing to not nothing. I mean, she was just not working like on TV and film. And all of a sudden she was the biggest star in America. Yeah. And I just would text her and be like, describe to me what this is like. I would love to know how you handle this. Yeah. Like, how do you, just having every single person in the country know who you are? It's got to be.
Yeah, I think a lot. Well, so with The Bachelor and Bachelorette, it's funny because it resets. Yeah. So every season it resets. So now I walk around. Rarely do I get stopped unless I'm with someone else, from my season or anything. So it's like it's on to the next. And so, that like actors that, are more sustainable and things like that, I feel like that builds over time, obviously. But yeah, the Bachelor thing is funny because it's short term for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It's long term, like a lot of people have made great careers out of that attention they've gotten, especially like anyone who finishes in the top 3 or anyone who gets, married. It kind of surpasses the show because people are now invested a little bit deeper in their lives. But yeah, it's a crazy, crazy feeling. Like I'd lie if I said I didn't miss it. Like it was fun. Yeah. And it was,
I'm glad you had a good experience out of it.
I had a great,
I've read, I've had a couple friends be on The Real World or Road Rules. And, that was like the first,
like reality.
Yeah, it really was. And it steamrolled this whole, reality kind of
phenomenon. It's
a phenomenon. But I read somewhere that they used to have psychiatrists for them afterwards because the high and the low that they would feel of the being famous, and then basically in a weird way your fame was kind of stripped away as the new series came on. Yep. And I always felt like, people have said to me, isn't it cool? Like when you do TV and I go, you don't understand. I'm like, fame is not the good part of it. Like the good part of it is money. The good part of it is privilege. The being recognized is not, and then to have it ripped away is not a good feeling either. So I mean, going, all of a sudden next season, it's like, I'm not that guy anymore. And I'm sure athletes get that a lot. Like I've always thought about that about pro athletes. You're playing every week, every down, and then boom, you retire and people still look at you like, hey, that's so-and-so, that's Joe Montana, but he's not
the same.
Yeah, he's not Tom Brady anymore.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. And I mean, they still have shrinks. So like you see a shrink before you go on the show, you see a shrink when the same one, she's watching everything.
Wow.
So it knows everything that's going on. And then you see her after, and it's a full, like, if you ever need anything, like reach out, if you ever feel like, cause there have been, I mean, yeah, there's been suicide, not to get dark, but yeah, like,
do you remember the show? I think it was called The Running Man. I think Schwarzenegger was on it. It was a movie.
Yeah.
Richard Dawson. I think, if I'm getting this correct, it was basically a reality show where like they chase these people down and kill them or whatever. And it was set in the future. And it was like, America would watch, and this person would go on the run, and if they survived, they got their life. And if the person caught them, they got all this money, but they had to like kill them. And I'm watching, I don't know if it was Schwarzenegger. It might have been Schwarzenegger. I'm going to look it up because it's bothering me. But we're getting close to that. Like, we are moving closer and closer. My friend Hunter McIntyre was just on one of these shows where he chases someone down. It's, like an obstacle course. And,
LeBron James is behind it.
Yeah. Oh, there's two of them. Okay. LeBron has one, and like, they always do two shows. Yeah. Like NBC has one, CBS has to compete with them. But it was, I'm a little scared with where we're moving as a society. We got crazy in reality shows for a while.
Yep.
When we had like Temptation Island.
It's back.
Oh,
it's fucking back.
Oh my God. I couldn't stop watching that show. That was the best show ever.
They brought it back. When you think about it, everyone is their own reality show now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
With Instagram, with YouTube, with Twitter. And so it is crazy to see. I kind of feel like now, like, the desensitizing is done from that standpoint.
Sure.
So yeah, you're probably right. Like, they're going to start pushing the limits a little further.
This was a 1987 film. Yeah, The Running Man. It says, in the year 2019,
we're here.
America is a totalitarian state. We're here. Where the favorite television program is The Running Man, a game show in which prisoners must run to freedom to avoid a brutal death. Having been made a scapegoat by the government and imprisoned Ben Richards, Arnold Schwarzenegger has the opportunity to make it back to the outside again by being a contestant on The Deadly Show. Although the twisted host, Damon Killian, Richard Dawson, has no intention of letting him escape. We are almost there.
Aren't you happy though that like all these dark movies, like when did you grow up?
80s, 90s.
Yeah, 80s, 90s. Okay. All the, like, I call them like the dark movies of like the 80s and 90s. Like, thank God that stuff didn't like fully pan out. Like, there's so many things like that.
This one's almost here. We're almost here. It's like, and it's funny you say that. We are living in, everybody's got their individual reality show. I get constantly bombarded with people in my business that like agents and managers and stuff saying, you need to do more social media content. You need to, people want to see this. People want to see this. And I go, look, I just did 500 episodes of a podcast. I basically told every shit I've ever taken, I can't give any more of myself to people. And they're like, oh man, you should do a blog every day. You should do it. And I'm like, this is just killing me. And I'm honestly getting to the part where it's so close to me just pulling the cord and going, I just stand up. That's it. That's it.
But that supports all this. So that's the tough point, right? It's such a part of culture now that if you're not relevant on social media, but if you're doing something where you're out in the public and you're not on social media, like, yeah, you are like, you're not really relevant, you need to be out. And that's why I think it's the volume of content. The more people that are on Instagram, the more people that are on Facebook, the more people that are using Twitter, the more people that are out there, that means there's just more shit out there, right? For people to sift through. So it becomes harder and harder to even get noticed or get your point across.
But you just said it. There's shit. And that's my problem with it. I feel like we used to litter outside. We used to people just throw shit on the ground. But now we live in a virtual world. People litter in our virtual world.
Yeah.
And people are like, hey, check out my blog. And I'm like, you just threw a Wendy's bag in my lawn because I got to pick up your blog and put it in the trash can because I don't want to, I don't have time. Like I believe in quality over quantity. And even though I probably don't practice that like I should, it's just, there's so I made a joke one time. I said, it's going to get to the point where there are so many podcasts out there that nobody's going to be able to listen to them because everybody's making one.
But look at Instagram, right? So if there's as many podcasts out as there are people that are on Instagram, you're still consuming.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing about podcasts that I love is you can do it when you're doing other things. So like you can listen to more podcasts than you can spending time watching videos, right?
Sure.
So I know I love the podcast platform just because the other thing too, it does, like, look at us. We're never met you before.
Yeah.
I got a DM 4 days ago from you. Said, let's do a podcast, right? If I was like some fan of yours and like trying to get your, like, hey, can we just hang out? Can we get coffee for an hour? You'd be like, no. Not a chance.
Never, ever.
Right? Like on my podcast, I've had executives that literally, I'd never be able to get an hour meeting with them. Like, not a chance. Like, it just wouldn't, maybe I'd get 5-10 minutes, right? But I'm like, oh, do you want to be on my podcast? Definitely. Would love to. And then it's like, all of a sudden you're in with them for an hour.
I do. Look, I love the medium. I do it myself, and I listen to a ton as I drive.
You just don't want to run.
Well, it's almost like you get frustrated. You're like, I think I'm making something, and so is everyone else. How is anyone listening to this? I did a podcast yesterday with a friend who does one. Leo Flowers does one, a comedian, and he's got a master's degree in psychology, and he does it about suicide prevention. It's a mental health podcast, and I'm on there because I'm crazy. And I'm talking to him, and by the end, he was asking, do you have any advice for people that have, suffering from depression or anxiety? And I said something, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, I hope I help some people. I'm like, there are going to be people that hear this, and I hope, wow. I'm like, this is going to go out, and I get pretty shitty sometimes about this, but even if one guy listened to this and goes, hey, that was some good advice. I was having a tough time and it was getting pretty bleak. And I was like, okay. And while we were talking, I thought, this is good. This is a good conversation that if these two guys were talking, I'd like to sit around and just listen to. Yeah. And sometimes you're alone and it's like, hey, I'm in this conversation. And I just felt like that's all it was. He and I were it was the same conversation he and I would have in the green room without the microphones. And all of a sudden we just put microphones up and anyone could listen to it, fly on the wall. And so, yes, they are good. And I've learned a ton from meeting people, and I've also, I have on a lot of experts and things, and I get to, that's the only way I can learn, because I try to read a lot, but the experiences are incredible. So it is amazing. And then doing things like The Bachelor got you that bump that opens so many doors to doing so many things you do. It's funny, all this endurance talk, and I need to interrupt the show to talk to you about a sponsor who I don't know how we got in touch. They're PA boys, but Pennsylvania. I'm all about my state. I don't know how we came across these guys or what happened, but their products are absolutely amazing. I got into this because, I talk about it a ton. We're doing this run and I'm working out a ton, like doing endurance shit. And, you got to worry about your foot health more than anything doing these long runs. And I've run some marathons before, and the last thing you want are blisters. Blisters will ruin everything. But there's also your nipples. Your nipples can bleed. You get hot spots, chafing between your legs. There's all kinds of things that can happen. And I've, seen it in CrossFit a ton too. Where, you just want to be comfortable when you're working out. And Exoskin is an athletic apparel company who, these guys, me, I don't care how much it costs or how big a name it is. I just care about the best product. I want to find the best product out there. I don't care who's using it, as long as I can find out. And I think, honestly, that this is the best product out there when it comes to athletic wear for performance. What I'm talking about is these guys, I've been wearing their socks, and just unbelievable feel. I can't believe how healthy my feet are after these runs. So Dustin Fierro, who is an endurance racer and has won, is a listener of the show. That's how I met him. He's been a guest of the show. He wins the paddleboard paddles over to Catalina and back, or gets second in it. He always gets mad at me for mentioning that. Told me to get the socks that have like toe socks, like those vibrant 5-finger toe shoes that Rogan wears and that Armin used to wear. The socks, though, do an incredible job at not letting you blister because they don't let the skin-to-skin rubbing happen. So I've used those socks of theirs, and they're incredible. Seamless. They have no seams. And I use their other socks, too. But they've got a full line of athletic apparel. They've got shorts. They've got shirts. They've got 6 different styles of socks. They've got leg sleeves. They've got everything you need. And they're so good. They've put them up against, they've tested them against all the top brands. Icebreaker, Under Armour, North Face, anything that does this kind of outerwear, kind of performance wear, and they beat them all. They beat them all. And people use these in all the big races, any kind of races, from endurance racing, from the Franklin's 200, the Barclay Marathons, the Triple Crown of 200s, Badwater, you name it. Anyone that's doing this, and I will be wearing all of this stuff when I do our 68-mile run. When we go across the Backbone Trail, I'm going to be wearing Exoskin. I wear it every day that I'm working out now. I need to get more of the socks. Here's the best part, though. You don't need that many because you don't even need to wash them. You can just wring them out because they're made of this like incredible material, this like 3-dimensional knit structure, and it uses PTFE and copper. I don't know what that means, but they've got these patent pending fibers that it keeps out odor too. And there's nothing I hate more when I'm in a CrossFit gym and people smell. So get yourself some of their clothes, shorts, shirts, wear them at CrossFit. You're not going to have to wash them as much. You can just wring them out. You don't need to put any of those chemicals and ruin all the fibers. You just, I don't know what it is. It's special. I should have the guy on that owns the company because you need to hear why, and I can attest that it is amazing, doesn't smell, fits great, doesn't chafe, doesn't make me blister, and I'm going to help you out. Get yourself some Exoskins. It's www.exoskin.us. That's www.exoskin.us. You're going to get 20% off. Okay? 20% off at exoskin.us. If you put in the code WODCAST. Put in WODCAST. Try these. They've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go on 20 runs with these socks. You don't like it? Send them back. They'll give you a full refund. Okay? You have nothing to lose. Use the 20% off discount by putting in WODCAST at exoskin.us. All right? And again, after you get them, after you wear them, after you love them, thank me. How'd you get into nutrition?
So nutrition was out of college. I was working for a company called Fuse, which was a healthy beverage company. I don't know if you remember
Fuse.
You got sold to Coke. So I got kind of thrown into that
and then
world.
Became unhealthy? Did they do it?
No,
Did they change everything?
So they basically just maintained. I think they just kept their teas, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy.
Where'd you go to college?
So Chico State.
Okay.
Northern California.
I know it.
It was a good time. So when I worked for the beverage company, I kind of got into that, the healthy beverage scene. And then I got recruited into the wine business. So that kind of took me out of it, but I always stayed active. So I was always, I was traveling a lot. I was always working out. And then I started getting into bike races. Just randomly, there was a charity ride that the winery I worked for, sponsored. And so it was like one of those things, like it was an expensive ride and you had to like kind of, put on a lottery to get into it. And I got it one year and I'm like, fuck, now I have to learn how to ride a bike.
But you were part of the company and you still had to get
because they it was like $10,000 just to do the race. So they matched, or they put up most of the money for it. And so I started learning how to ride a bike, loved it. And then I grew up swimming. So I was just kind of like in my head, I did this race, and it wasn't a race, it was a charity ride. And I was like, okay, like I'm biking now, I can swim. Like now I just got to learn how to run, and then I'll start doing triathlons. So started getting to triathlons, and then that really started propelling me, like looking deeper into more nutrition, just because you're stressing your body out so much for long periods of time. And so I was in the wine and alcohol business for a while, and just really was getting to the point of like it just wasn't a part of my life because exercise and nutrition was becoming so much more. So I had a buddy in Texas who was opening up nutrition stores. And we had kept in touch, and I always kind of had this like entrepreneurial itch I want to scratch. And then kind of just talked him into coming out to Vegas and like, hey, you mind just show me around? Like, let me know what you think about some of these locations. Like, I'd love to open up a store and pick your brain. And we found a location, and it was like, this was in, so this was probably 6 years ago. So the economy was still pretty rough in Vegas, and, was able to get a location, and I was still working for the alcohol company at the time. And so like, this was, I didn't know the term at the time, but basically opened up a nutrition store as like my side hustle. So he like gave me money to start it up, owe him everything for that. I'd paid him back. And it just became something where I'm like, this is cool. Like, I love operating like this kind of business. And same, like to your point, helping people, like seeing people come in that have been like struggling with weight forever. And then we get them on a program, we give them a diet, we get them on some supplements that speed everything up. And then they come back, months later and like lifting up their shirt, like, look what we did, and just pumped. Like, it's cool. So that's what kind of got me really more laser focused on nutrition. And then the more I started expanding, so I opened up a store in California and then ended up opening up 3 more in Vegas. So I had 5 stores total.
Oh, wow.
But even,
what was the name of your store?
Total Nutrition.
Okay.
So I had really strict buying standards. I'd only buy directly from manufacturers that I trusted. So I'd have them send me all their GMP certifications and all their updates, the FDA registrations.
So let me interrupt you for a second. So when you got into it, you were like, I'm not going to go to the GNC route. I'm not going to buy a franchise of this. I'm going to do my own where I set a higher standard, because GNC's got some crap in there.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bigger business, right? And in the way we worked it was super unique. So my buddy created this concept, and he basically kind of like free sourced like a bunch of our friends. And so we used the same name, we used the same marketing material, we used buying power together, but everything was independently owned and operated. So it wasn't a franchise model. It wasn't, it wasn't solely owned.
And were all your friends very like nutrition and health
a lot
oriented?
of guys, like in college, like most of my buddies were, like in my fraternity, everyone worked, we were like known as like the guys who lifted guys. And so that kind of played into it. So I mean, over the course of 5 years, between all of our friends, we had like 70 stores across the country,
great.
I think.
That's
it was a very, very cool run.
Different names? Or it was all Total Nutrition?
Total Nutrition and 5-Star Nutrition.
Okay.
And then 5-Star Nutrition ended up breaking off just because they were growing too big. And so they're their own entity now, and then everyone else kind of maintained theirs. But, within that and within our buying kind of group, I was struggling finding certain things that I wanted, because a lot of the sport nutrition field, as you know, it's geared towards guys going to the gym, doing 3 sets of 10, and it's mostly aesthetics driven. Like, that's it. So I wasn't finding a lot that was performance driven, and it was kind of like 2 ends of the spectrum. So you had like the meathead supplements, and then you had like super whole food natural, but like really low in the, the extract content. And then on the other side, in the endurance side, it was basically sugar. Like, everything that endurance athletes are getting, it's so crazy. So you have these 3 different segments, but no one's looking at it from a whole, and no nutrition stores at the time were really doing that. Like, GNC tries to cater to everyone. Vitamin Shop caters to everyone, right? And we were catering to everyone, but we weren't able to, because I was like, I can't sell someone a product that I don't believe in is going to get them results, even though they think like, oh, I could take a pre-workout and then, go do a, 2-hour bike ride and I'm going to feel great. I'm like, no, you're going to be dehydrated because you just took in like, 500 milligrams of caffeine. So there was this kind of like, I saw this void of products that, were needed in the market. So I started working with some of these manufacturers and their compounding pharmacists to start putting some things together. And I would come to them with, okay, here's an end goal. Here's a workout or, an exercise that I think can be fueled a certain way. Here's the nutrients I know. What can you guys put together? What do you have studies on? And then we just kind of go back and forth and just started developing these lines. So I ended up creating 2 lines while I had the stores that I sold within my stores. And then they started blowing up, selling to all, kind of our network. And then it just got to the point where the brands were, outselling my stores essentially.
Interesting.
And that's when I made the transition to start selling the nutrition stores off and really focusing in 100% on the brands.
Right. Because I think that's what's happened with a lot of things. And you see it with CrossFit owners or something where they go, why would I own a gym and have 300 customers when I can have 300,000
online personal training?
Yeah. And I guess the same kind of thing happened, and retail's just not what it used to be.
And it's still good. Like I do really good in wholesale, you know, with my customers, and the ones that are doing it right, the ones that are
don't own the shops anymore.
I don't own the shops anymore.
Do they still exist?
They still exist. Yeah. So I actually sold them to my manager who started them up with me, and he wanted to expand and open up more stores. And I was so focused on the brands at the time that I was just like, listen, if you want to operate and own these, like, you know these stores, you've built them. And so it was a perfect scenario. He was able to get in. And kind of just like me, I would have never had the opportunity to start a brick and mortar retail business if my buddy didn't co-sign with me. Right. So, like without any track record, like, yeah, I'm going to go into debt on paper, $200,000 for this, this building. So it was kind of the same thing with him. Like I felt like I was paying it forward. He got to own and operate and still have, a great job. I wasn't walking away from the businesses. So I felt good about it. And yet him and the stores that are doing really well are the ones that are focusing on customers. And because there is a void with buying online that is very detached from humans, right? So it's that balance of convenience versus actually getting, what you want and being able to communicate with someone.
I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I know a lot of this stuff and not very well, but I have to constantly consult nutritionists or biochemist friends and say, look, I'm taking this, I'm eating this, I'm doing this. What should I do? And they'll be like, they all contradict each other and they'll go, no, don't take that. You need to take more of this or you need to take more of that. And so much of it's theoretical. It's basically, you just got to get with someone and get on a plan and go with it and stick with it for a while and see how it works
and
for
test your body. Yeah. Everyone's body is different. That's the biggest thing.
So I can see, buying online is just scary. You're going on, a friend's recommendation. I use this. It worked for me. And you're going, I'm going to order this and get it. Yep. So having someone, I go to natural food stores a lot, like if I'm sick or if anything's wrong with me, and I kind of have a general idea of what I need. And then it's nice to have the person that works there that has seen everyone come through there and they're like, no, you want this one. It's got colloidal silver in it. You're going to want to shove this up your nose. Don't put the one with xylitol, put the one with they're almost like
they're points of reference.
They are points of reference, but I almost feel better about them than I do an article that I could research or
100%.
A doctor that I could talk to, because this pharmacist is like, I've had 150 people walk in here for this, and then I hear, and they come back for it if they don't want it or they want it.
It's their own little case study.
Yeah. And I almost feel like it's, you're talking to the mechanic better than the engineer that built the car. You're talking to the mechanic who fixes it, and he can tell you, a little bit more. Like, oh, they're riding the brakes too hard. That's what,
Exactly.
So I've always been, supplements and stuff. I've taken so many and tried to lay off some and get back on some. And I'm just curious how, with your triathlon training, you were doing CrossFit also. Was that after?
Kind of in between, kind of as like cross training. So when I started getting into triathlons, the biggest thing was, the people on the podiums are they're rails, right? They're skinny. And I was just like, it's not that I'd ever be on the podium, but I want to maintain muscle mass. I want to be able to do stuff.
That's exactly why I'm asking you this right now. I'm training for a 68-mile run. And I'm trying to maintain the little bit of muscle mass that I have. And it's already gone. Like I've lost 10 pounds and I'm like, what am I going to do? And everybody's like, what you're doing is catabolic. There's no anabolic. It's going. You're not going to maintain it. And I'm like, I want to. How do I do this?
So, what I found, so the nice thing about, high intensity training, CrossFit, and I was actually doing, when I was training for like my Ironman, I was doing a lot of mixed martial arts conditioning classes.
Did you do?
I did Louisville.
Okay.
But like the mixed martial arts conditioning classes in like CrossFit gyms will have a form of that, kind of high intensity training, like the plyometrics, like anything that was like fast twitch, got your heart rate up super quick, like all that stuff benefited me. But then I also still got some of the, benefits of maintaining lean muscle. And so, it's a balance for sure. I struggle with it all the time. I got really into running last year and I got like skinny fat. And I was like, I got to figure out a way around, I want to change this. And it was just putting more time into the gym, not going so heavy, on the running all the time. And so, it's
a weird balance. And you say the skinny fat, you're taking in so many calories so that you have the energy to go, but then you realize they're deposited in weird ways. You're like, this is fucking weird.
Well, and your body's also, so if you go out on a 20-mile run, your body, you start programming your body to be like, okay, we're like we need to store and conserve this energy. So we're going to store it in certain areas that you don't want, but you're going to be happy we did, right?
Yeah.
And so, the body does different things, and it's at different points of your training, how long you've been doing it. And that's why I said, like, all the nutrients, everything you're putting in your body, like knowing what that does over time, like you just have to play around because everyone's different. And like you even said, you talk to 5 different, nutritionists, you're going to get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, that's one of the crazier things is no one can really agree on like, like we can send someone to the moon and we can do all these things. That's like, this is what gravitational pull is. But the one thing that fuels us and keeps us alive, we can't like confirm what it, and it's a lot of it is because everyone's body is so unique and, you need different.
Were you able to maintain any muscle mass while you did the Ironman?
I was, yeah. And, I'll be honest
sometimes
too.
you see some big guys out there.
Yeah,
like,
for
how
sure.
the fuck is this guy
and
doing
it's,
this?
At the time I was younger, like hormones have a lot to do with it. Like, my testosterone was through the roof. So if I could go work out in the gym 2 days a week and still maintain a lot of lean muscle mass, as you get older, that starts to change, and you just kind of have to find that balance. But yeah, it was definitely figuring out how to, okay, I knew my training plan. Now, how can I squeeze in as much lifting as I can just so I'm mentally like, okay with myself. And it does. It's good. It breaks it up too. So.
I worry though that adding the lifting in is just taking me into, a place where I should be in like rest and rehabbing. And I'm like, what am I doing? I should just be resting. I'm just overdoing it. I'm overtraining.
Yep.
And it's tough. And then part of me is like, maybe just CrossFit, just maybe just do CrossFit, but it's building that aerobic capacity. People don't realize that don't do it. The people out there that are just CrossFitters or just like to lift weights don't understand. It's just this incremental like adaptation that you have to do of when you're just lengthening and lengthening and lengthening, where your body's just like, all right, I can take this shit.
Yeah.
I can take this shit.
Just a slow
you
beat
did,
up.
You did 10 miles last week. You're doing 12 this week. You're doing 14 next week. We got it.
Yeah.
We got it. And your body's like, okay, I did this. I'm ready for this. And, it's like that long, slow distance of just building that your heart is able to condition to keep going during that. And that's not going to help your fucking weightlifting at all. Not at all.
I mean, I started geeking out a little bit more this year, and did like lactic testing. So, have you done lactic testing? So basically we did, 2 sports. So we did biking and running. And so what the coach did was he'd get my heart rate up to a certain level on the treadmill, maintain that same heart rate for 4 minutes. So whatever that pace was for me, which is going to be different for everyone.
Right. At about how high would your heart rate be?
So we started out, I believe on the run, I can actually pull it up, but I believe we started out like 110.
Okay.
Right. So just super slow pace, maintain that for 4 minutes, prick my finger, take blood, and then test basically the lactic output. So how much lactate my body's producing, and then get my heart rate up to another level, like another 5, beats per minute. Test it again, another 5. I mean, so you're on the treadmill for an hour getting it. And by the time, you're done with like,
they take you all the way up to,
to your max. Yeah. So basically he got to the point where he was like, you need to tell me if you can keep going or not for 4 minutes at this pace. And I think it was almost 10 miles an hour. And after running for an hour, it was like, wow, I'm fucking done. Like, this is all I've got. Right. And he knew when he was testing me, cause they do it on the spot. And so it's crazy to see how your lactate is being produced. Right. And then you have a lactic threshold, which is like, it's a common term used, but a lot of people don't know what it is.
Right.
And it's basically the point where your body is producing, it doesn't have enough energy. So it doesn't have enough glycogen, fat. And so you start producing this lactate as kind of a second form of
like
energy,
poison.
But it's poison. So, it's for short, it's like you got to get that lion, hunter-gatherer thing, so your lactate just shoots through the roof at a certain heart rate, during a certain exercise, right? So, finding that, then right before that point of where your lactate shoots through the roof is kind of your steady state threshold where you can maintain, so now I know,
that's great.
Literally looking at my watch, how long I can, so when I go on runs that are like, keep it in your aerobic pace, which is super low, it's like, super low, but I know my window. I literally feel like I can just go forever. Like because one, mentally, that you're not producing it. 2, you're not feeling it. Your legs aren't getting heavy. Your heart rate's low enough to where you can just keep maintaining this pace. So then we did it on the bike, and the bike is a little bit different. You end up hitting your lactic threshold a little bit
in the
higher.
run. At how far where was your lactate threshold?
So my lactate threshold is 168.
Wow. So 168.
Yep. 168 beats per minute. I can maintain.
Do you think you would have guessed that?
No, I didn't really. So when I was training for Ironman, I followed my heart rate, but I didn't know. I didn't know what it meant. You know, like people would be like, oh, stick in zone 2 for a while.
Yeah,
and then, you know, like everyone's zones are totally different. And so, and the longer you train, so if you're in a 6-month training period, your zones are going to change.
What is your
time.
maximum?
We never hit it. So like, I don't know. I mean, I could guess, right? But, he basically got to the point of, listen, your lactate's through the roof. Like, I don't want you even thinking about going beyond that.
What do you think you're?
Probably 190.
Yeah. Because I do a lot of heart rate testing on myself, trying to figure all this stuff out, and that's something people don't know because they do the 220 minus their age, and it's like that's not your maximum heart rate.
Yeah,
you have to go out there and find your maximum because everybody's different. My maximum heart rate's way over 220 minus my age.
Yep,
and you know But how long can I keep it there? That's a whole other story. And
exactly.
And you know, I'd love to do that kind of test. We do a thing, body spec. We go and I'm going to go get my basal metabolic rate taken, and I think they do a lactate test.
Okay.
I think they do. We do the body scan there, or the DEXA scan.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to go do that because I've been a firm believer that that's all that matters.
It really is. Like I even asked the coach, I'm like, do I need to go do VO2 max after this?
No.
He's like, no, we got it. Like we know exactly.
That's exactly.
So he's like, I know your VO2 max based off your lactic output.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's a confidence thing, but it's super nice to know, like you're out on a course and you're watching and you're like, oh shit, I'm above 170 right now. Like I need to slow down or else I'm going to cramp up. I'm going to seize, like muscles are going to get heavy. And it's just going to take you back. So I love it, man. It's like, it's the first time, like I had that when I started doing triathlons, I had that, like, I just want to go out and race. And like the training was like, the training sucked sometimes, but the race was worth it. And I just want to go out and just pound and do what I could. Now it's like figuring out like, how long can I maintain? Like you kind of get geeked out and like what your body can actually
science
do.
Of it's really cool.
Yeah. And not just like, I think I can go out and run 20 miles. Like, no, I know I can. It's like the Jason Bourne shit. Like I know I can run.
So when you're doing, but do you think that sometimes like going and pushing that lactate threshold, like it's like anything else, like pushing yourself like CrossFit, kind of tricks you into going to another place you've never gone. You find that area inside you because of the whiteboard, because of the people competing against you, that you end up doing things science would say don't do.
Correct.
And then you do it and you build that capability to then do it again.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it goes back and forth, right? Like I think for me, I think that's good to know, you know, that high intensity point, again, where you're pushing your lactic threshold and you know how far you can push your body. I think that's a cool thing to do. Like, I just think it is. I also think it's cool to know how long you can sustain something for a long period of time. I think that's equally as cool of a thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the more lactate your body's producing, the more you're dumping into your body.
Sure.
Like, all I would say is, you know, if you're doing that consistently, like work on the recovery part because you got to get that shit out, you know, like, and that's the biggest thing.
How much do you think CrossFitters are blasting in past their lactate threshold?
Oh, every workout. Like
it's unbelievable.
And it's like, it's consistent. It's like, so if you're doing a 15-minute workout or the workouts within a 15-minute period, you're probably there within the first 4 minutes, like, or even before that. And then you're holding that the whole time.
It's funny because, I'm guilty of that and I've changed a lot where I used to start out at this really fast pace, hit it, and then just blow up. And you watch all the really good guys. I mean, they have a capacity that's way past mine, but they're just so slow and steady. I mean, they're moving way faster because they're just at that capability now, but they're on a pace. They're on a pace and you know that they're not going there where everyone else in class is. Everyone else is like, that's not a professional or not a really well-conditioned athlete is blowing out, like where you'll just go and you can't pick up the bar again. You can't do one more burpee and you're just lying.
Your body just shuts down
and you're like, okay, I'm ready to, you know, and you've got to recover and start again.
And the recovery takes longer than if you would have paced it out.
Exactly. And I was that start, stop. I still am a bit because I grew up as a sprinter and never ran any kind of distance stuff. And the coach would be like, all right, time to run the, third 400. And I was like, I'm going to sit this one out. And I would run it so fast. But my recovery was horrendous. And I think recovery is something that is it's underappreciated.
100%. Because it's not sexy.
It's not, but I think like you look at somebody like if you were in war and you went and fought and then, okay, we get a break. Well, no, you don't. It's starting again. Well, where are you now? The guy that fought well in that first battle now can't fight because he's recovering. How are you during your recovery? And that's my new thing. It's like, I'm trying to recover well instead of just be this guy that's like, because
it's also longevity too, right? It's how long you can continue to do that. The one thing I would say, which I think would benefit, and I'm no expert, but I'm just learning this a lot over the last year. The more, the more you geek into it, the more doors start opening up. Like I look at CrossFit now, and I really haven't done CrossFit since I started doing this lactic testing. But if you build up your low end endurance, like all you're doing is going to push that lactic threshold further and further out. Yeah. And I think the old mentality was, if you push yourself all the time, you're going to keep pushing it, but you'll actually get, the science shows you'll actually get more, you'll be able to push your lactic threshold further out by doing more aerobic.
I know. Exercise. I've read it. And it's one of those things, it is so difficult to do because it requires slowing the fuck down.
Like super slow. I was out on a bike ride today and I'm like, I'm feeling good and you want to push it, but I'm supposed to stick within my aerobic conditioning, like heart rate zone. And it's just like, even hitting a hill, I'm like, fuck, I got to pull it back. Cause like I could do it. I know I can. And that's the hard part with athletes is when you know you can do something, you want to do it. So you don't know the reserve, you know?
My aerobic level is so low that when I figured it all out, I was like, I'll be walking practically, like walking fast.
Yeah.
And, I talked to someone and they're like, do it.
Yeah.
Go out for a 2-hour walk really fast. And I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, you have to, because my issue was, and I think this goes for a lot of CrossFitters, you're redlining all the fucking time. And it's terrible for your recovery. It's terrible. It's putting too much stress on your body, too much, cortisol's being released. You're hitting your lactate threshold all the time. And if you just slow the fuck down.
So here's my run.
Okay. So what's the top line?
So the top line, the first line is aerobic. And so on the run, that's 133 to 149. Okay. Then the next kind of zone is they call this the lactate threshold. So this is still below, is 150 to 158. And then advanced conditioning. And so those two zones before are really, and this is the other cool thing, they're really, your body uses a lot of fat for those lower zones. Yeah. And so people trying to lose weight, should stay in low aerobic zones. So the tempo and kind of strength zone, is advanced conditioning. That's 159 to 168. And then my steady state threshold, which is what I can maintain, basically what I should be able to race at. That's 165 to 168. Okay. So it's right in that advanced conditioning zone. And then VO2 max development is anything above 169.
Where did you go to get your lactate threshold test?
So this was done, Coach Gareth out of LA. Okay. He basically works out of this gym and it's crazy. It's literally just treadmill and then you have a bike set up. And just on the treadmill, he's pricking you every couple
that's
minutes.
What I want, some random dude just pricking my finger.
Exactly,
go ahead, dude. How's that dirty, rusty needle?
No, he's really, really good and explained a lot. And then he put the program together, after all this. But it really is one of those things, like the more you dig into it, the more you start learning, like, oh, that's why I felt that way at that time, when I was out. Like, it's so nice knowing. And that's what I think is,
I think in endurance racing, they call it bonking. Yeah. When you bonk and people go, oh, it's because your nutrition's off. Well, you also pushed it too hard.
Exactly.
And I don't think I've ever.
Oh, good. This is the bike.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bike obviously is a lower, it's a lower heart rate zone for a higher output.
Right.
So yeah, aerobic 110 to 121, lactic threshold 122 to 132, advanced conditioning 133 to 142, and then steady state threshold, which is again my race pace 143 to 147. And you've been on the bike.
Why is that lower on the bike?
So you're using your body's so focused on just that repetitive movement, right? When you're running, you're using more of your cardiovascular, your arms are moving. That's more of a full body movement. On on the bike, you're basically half your body's resting, essentially. The other half is working. And that's what the biggest difference is.
So why couldn't you push harder? Because your muscles just don't have the strength to do it?
Yeah, because you're going to pump so much, you're going to produce so much lactate in one area.
Oh, I see.
Right, the rest of it's with running, it's flowing throughout your whole body. Your whole body's producing it.
I gotcha.
And this, it's lower because it's literally focused on just your legs.
Oh, so that's why it's going to lower your heart
exactly.
rate's going to be a lower rate.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
That's very interesting. This is stuff I did not know, and I'm venturing into this endurance world, so it's good to know.
Yeah, no, it's good. And like I said, it's like if anyone's interested in doing this, like it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
And
how much was it?
I want to say, I mean, I tied in a coaching program with it I'm doing Escape from Alcatraz coming up.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, bundled in, but I think he would just do the testing for like, I think it's like $400.
Cool.
But it's something like that would last you a year of like knowing what you're doing. And then you want to get retested again and see where you're at. But, it's super intriguing and like it's real time. It's your results. It's no one else's. It's not some, like you said, formula that you're subtracting your body weight from your age and, doing all this crazy shit. So, it's really nice.
You're turning your body into a computer.
Basically,
you're going, okay, we have to give it this and make it do this. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. Alcatraz is going to be fun. I've had some friends do it. I was invited to do it. They accepted me into it like a week before the race.
Nice. You're like,
and I was like, guys. I haven't trained. And my friend's like, you'll be fine. And then he told me afterwards, he goes, you would have died.
Yeah.
He's like, the hills were so bad.
It's a tough course.
And the swim, my friend's a really good swimmer, like college swimmer. And, he said the swim got so messed up because he halfway through, he found this girl like freaking out and had to like be her like psychiatrist because he thought the girl was going to drown because she was just freaking out from the cold water and the fear of the sharks and anyone that's afraid of open water swims needs to know though, there's never been a shark attack ever. Do you know this in a competitive swim?
That I just did a live interview and that was everyone was asking like, how do you deal with sharks? How do you deal with sharks?
They won't come near you.
So the crazy thing is though, so on races, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't, and I look at it, I joke
individually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're coming for you.
It's a totally different ratio.
But you're a school of big fucking fish.
Exactly.
They're afraid of you.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I joke around about it, but any kind of triathlon I do in open water, I'm like, well, I've got good chances of not getting eaten, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm 1 in 2,000, it's pretty good odds, right?
But when's anyone been sniped off? It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is they do. So Alcatraz is no different, but like
do they have scuba divers and stuff?
No, they'll buzz boats. So
Okay.
they'll buzz boats before scaring, as much away as they can.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did the race. I did Alcatraz 6
Some
years
races
ago.
have scuba divers. I know.
I don't know if I've ever done any with. Oh yeah, I guess I have. I'm trying to think when. But yeah, you're right. So I mean, they have precautions.
Yeah.
And there's enough people out there. But it's your eyes play tricks on you, especially the bay water is nasty.
Sure, I've swum.
And like you see the bend motion and you're like, okay, is that my eyes? Is that a seal? Is that a shark?
I'd love to like just take your heart rate. I've never done this, but like when you're in like water like that, look at your heart rate when you're not like, say you just jumped in the water and you're just sitting there floating in that kind of water to see what your heart rate is at, because you have to add that on to your swim. Like you are, I know it from surfing.
It's the anxiety.
I know it from, there is a certain level, and I've done some triathlons, and your anxiety in an open water swim, people all around you kicking, and you've got to go this far distance. And it always seems, no matter how good your swimming is, it feels forever. You're like, I've trained forever for this, but I can't do it. Like you get in the water, like I've got to go that far, and you swim so slow compared to running and biking. And then all the bubbles and kicking and waves and thinking about all the creatures under you. I've done them in lakes where I'm like,
lakes creep
what's
me out
under
more.
me?
Lakes creep me out way more than ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just feel like there's some nasty shit out in lakes.
I was an ocean lifeguard, and we had to do during training, we'd have to do a lot of like the captain would just go up to 120th Street, get in the water, go out past the jetties, and swim back here, a mile and a half. And so we'd all just start swimming together and be a pack of 20 of us. And you just, dolphin comes out of the water next to you. It's like, and you're like, wow, what the fuck? Oh, God damn it. What are you, fucking asshole? And everybody's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing, I'm fine. And you put your head back in and you just start swimming again. And I don't know. I'm not very afraid of sharks. There was just today, they posted on, there's these surfers, the Marshall brothers that are really good longboarders up in Malibu. And the spot that I surf practically, I don't know, 3 days a week had they've been seeing a lot of great whites.
It's never a good feeling.
And a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. They think it might be that the brother, it's brothers _ Marshall.
Okay.
So they've been seeing them a lot lately, and nobody knows why. But there's been spottings, and this was today.
Wait, where?
That's right where I surf.
Why is that?
Girl helping a great white shark back into the water. Cause,
so it was, what was it, beach?
These guys joke a lot, so I don't know if they're joking, and this wasn't, but I'm pretty sure that's
crazy.
Malibu. It looks
a lot
like our wave. It says this girl at Brittany Coleman nursing a washed up shark back to the sea at First Point Malibu last night. This was last night.
Okay.
Was it worth these? What's it with these record number of shark sightings? Global warming, woolsey fire debris. There's a ton of debris.
Theories.
Ton of debris in the water.
Yeah.
But that's a juvenile great white.
Dude, I've done the Santa Cruz triathlon, and my brother's a surfer, and he lives in Santa Cruz. We've done it probably 5 times, the half Ironman, before Ironman got involved and then after. And this last year we did it.
That's a very sharky area.
Oh my God, dude, we went out the day before, so 2 beaches down for where it was, and literally 3 great whites circling.
What beach?
God, I forget the name of it. So the swim is around the Santa Cruz Pier, but the beach, more like Aptos area. And I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah. But dude, I was in Miami last month filming a commercial for those headphones I gave you, and we're out in, they have, it was like an early morning swim, like get out, do a bunch of, we're doing like some drone shots, and then we're going to do some, from the beach, and then we're going to have someone in there with you. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So we're like 45 minutes, right? Back and forth. And it's super murky. Like it was a lot of time, like, there was just a crazy current going on. And I get out and they're reviewing the footage, and I'm talking, they had fire and rescue there, and I'm talking to the fire and rescue guy, and I'm like, hey, like there's no one out here, right? And I'm just like, when you get that feeling of like, it's a sharky day, And I'm like, do you guys get sharks out here? And he's like, oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. I'm like what kind? He's like, tiger and bull. I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Wait, where was this?
This was, so it was in Miami.
Oh yeah. They get tigers and bulls. Yeah.
And
bulls are nasty down there.
Nasty. And so he's talking like it's so normal. And I'm like, when was the last time you saw something? He's like,
every day.
Oh, there's a bunch out here yesterday. And so I'm like, well, you'll be able to see them, right? Like if I'm out there, like you'll be able to and he's like, no, it's too murky. And I'm like, how are you going to know? And he's like, oh, we'll see birds come down, and then like the school official jump it. So they push the fish into the shore where they can't move, and then attack there. So all the birds come down and feed. And I'm like, this is fucked, right? Dude, I swear to, I turn around, I look, all of a sudden, looks like piranhas in the water. Yep, and then the birds come down, and I just see this tail thrashing around. It's 10 feet off the shore. And I'm like, guys, like over here. And they're just freaking out. Didn't know what to do. We still had to shoot more. And so I asked the fire and rescue guy, I'm like, am I cool? And he's like, just swim upstream. I'm like, the fuck does that have? Like,
nobody knows anything.
No.
I've heard everybody that says they know something tells me something differently. Yeah. And so I've come to the conclusion. It's
just give up.
Yeah. It's your time. It's your time.
Exactly.
And you look at someone like Mick Fanning that gets his board, bumped on his board and knocked off, and that was a great white. Some other guy that the shark could have just taken his legs off right there.
Yeah.
And
you just never know.
You never know. And, some places that are, I do go by statistics a lot. Like there's a place called Reunion Island. I will never surf there ever. Every time someone goes in the water, they die. Yeah. They have banned surfing on all the beaches. There's like 2 netted beaches at Reunion Island. Whenever somebody, it's off, I think it's off like the coast of Africa. It's a French, it's a French colony. And, it's got a sanctuary for fish. It's like some kind of reef that they have a sanctuary, and they're not allowed to do any fishing. So there's a lot of sea life there. Well, they've had a lot of shark attacks, so they banned all the beaches from swimming unless they're netted beaches. Well, the surf spots get overcrowded then.
Yeah.
Like crazy overcrowded, and it's great surfing. So there's these amazing breaks all over the place. But people are like, I'm just going to go in for a couple waves. And then they're like, and then he was dead.
Yeah.
And it happened. I think it happened yesterday.
Jesus.
I think someone died yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just, I won't go in there. I won't, if somebody goes, hey, there was just I'm like, I'm not going in. I don't go in. I do surf late at night when I shouldn't. You shouldn't surf late at night or early in the morning. And I try to stay away from river mouths.
Okay. Yep.
But I say that, and then sometimes I'm like, that wave looks so good.
Yeah. But like you said, the ratio the chances are so slim. I mean, and I guess for anyone listening to who's looking to do like endurance races, like you said, no one's been bit in any of these, right? But I mean, people have been killed like training on their own
a lot
for sure. So
those people that swim like far up. A man has been killed in a shark attack in waters close to the French Indian Ocean island of Reunion. Surfer believed to be in his late 20s was surfing in a high risk area where surfing is banned.
There you go.
Close to the small fishing town of St. Louis. The shark tore off one of his legs. Victim closely disappeared from the surface of the water, and just as his surfboard was left in view, attack took place at 4:30. 3 other people who were surfing with him made it back to shore safely. Just don't go in where you're not supposed to go in.
Yeah, it's the moral of the story.
Here's the stats though. Wow. Since the beginning of 2011, locals have spoken about a shark crisis on Reunion. The number of shark attacks have sharply increased. In the last 8 years, 24 attacks have been reported, and 11 of those have proved to be fatal. Half of those attacks involve surfers and bodyboarders. So, look, Reunion Island is this tiny, tiny little island that has a population probably the size of like less than Carlsbad, California. And they're getting 1 death a year on average. California gets 1 every other year. So what's that tell you?
Yeah.
Don't fucking go in the water in Reunion Island. I just don't understand it. I don't why you would take that risk. It's just Reunion Island. Let me see how big it is. Here it is. Oh, it's near the Seychelles.
Okay.
So it's near Madagascar.
It's tiny. Yeah.
It's right off the east coast of Africa. I was down there at Durban, South Africa.
How was that?
It was good, but again, signs everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't go in the water here. There are sharks everywhere. And it's weird. Mauritius is right near it. I've never heard of any attacks there.
Yeah, because there's some like nice resorts out there, right?
I think it's because Reunion Island has this sanctuary. I think that's what does it. The Galapagos has a sanctuary. Whenever they do, they'll change the laws and they'll be like, oh, fish are an endangered species or whatever. You can't kill them or you can't cull them, whatever it is. You're going to see the attacks go up. Yeah. Because it's inevitable.
That's what it is.
So what are you up to now? So you don't do CrossFit at all, but you do strength training still?
Yeah, I still do some strength training. And like,
do you recommend that for someone doing endurance work to like more of a bodybuilding workout?
I recommend to do what you feel good doing, right? Like, and listen to your body. So like when you're doing tri training, you're going to beat yourself up. What I've found though, is if you're following a good program and you give yourself enough time, you're really not going to beat yourself up that much. And that's why I feel like I'm able to do more of that. And the only reason for not doing as much CrossFit is one, the lactic threshold, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that I'm going to be a lot more sore if I go do a CrossFit workout and then try to run the next day than if I just went to the gym, controlled what I was doing. And then the other thing is time, like just figuring out when you're doing triathlon training, you're putting in a lot of hours. And so it's like, okay, I can't always, my schedule doesn't work around a gym. So I just have to find when I can squeeze that time in. So those are the 2 reasons why I do more like just strength workouts in the gym.
How many Ironmans have you done?
I've only done 1 Ironman.
Are you going to do it again?
I said I never would when I crossed the finish line, but like you kind of forget, you get Ironman amnesia. I did it in 12 hours. Yeah. I got hit on the bike mile 85, a girl next to me was passing me and then just passed out and just literally ran right into me.
Holy shit.
And I knew she was, like, I didn't know what happened. I basically just fell. And then I looked around. I had put my hands down. She didn't, she was locked in. I knew she passed out because she was locked into arrow position. When turned around and saw her on the ground, she was still in arrow position, just
Holy
like blacked
shit.
out. So that, I mean, I don't know how much time that took. If I had to guess, it was probably a good 20 minutes. Fire and rescue came over, like she was a mess.
How are your hands?
Done. Like I was completely, the skin on both my hands was gone. And one knee was gone. And then there was something else.
I wouldn't care about the knee. The hands.
Yeah, the hands
me.
was annoying. And so, a police officer came over, gave me some I wrapped everything up, and they're like, "You're gonna have to go in. Like, we need." And I'm like, "Fuck that!" Like, you don't know how long I've trained for this.
Fuck
so
you.
I was just wrapped up with gauze. Got back on my bike, and I was just, dude, I was miserable. Like, I've never enjoyed, like, to this day. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've started to enjoy it more. I've never felt really good on the bike. Like, I've always done it because it's part of the sport, and like it's fun, like to go, like I enjoy the idea of like Red Rocks, right? Like I can ride out, see all of Red Rocks and come back in like a great hour ride, you know? But I've always felt uncomfortable and I recently found out why. So I've done a bunch of different testing, in different kind of fittings. My body type is super unique. So I have extremely long legs, a short torso, and long arms for how short my torso is.
We're built exactly the same.
Really?
Yep, same thing.
Yeah. So I literally did a fitting.
Is that bad for biking?
Horrible. So
I'm bad for everything except for...
and it's not good for swimming, right? Like Michael Phelps has really short legs.
Yeah, it's bad for everything,
torso. Yeah.
Except I ran hurdles.
No, you know what I heard it's good for? So I'm in my bike fit, and this guy's like, I've never seen, like, he's like, I've fit thousands of people. It's Bike Effects in Santa Monica.
Okay.
He's like top. And I had just got to the point of like, I was so frustrated, like always some kind of pain in my lower back, just never felt like I had enough power. And so he does all these tests and he measures, from the ground up to my crotch, and then does the rest of my body. And so up to your crotch is where the bike seat fits. And so there's a ratio they go off of, basically crotch down versus crotch up. And majority of people are in like the 45 to 47 max % is lower body. And then the upper body is more just because it's from the crotch, it's not your waistline. And so he's doing me and he literally looks at me and he's like, I've done thousands of bike fittings and you're the third one I've seen with over a 50% ratio of legs to torso.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, we need to get your seat up really high, right? To give my legs room, which means we need to get the handles up really high. But the problem is my torso's short, so it can't be a super long bike. So you have to find a squatty bike.
Oh, geez.
That you can go high on. So it's a mess. But, anyways, yeah.
It's bad for CrossFitters too.
It's bad so he's looking at me and he's like, I'm like, this is horrible news, right? And he's like, well, you'd probably be pretty good at Muay Thai. Like, thanks. Cause that's what I wanted to hear. So yeah, I mean, it's, So getting more into the bike and like figuring that out, has been good. So I'm like, it's funny, man. I've been doing the sport forever and I'm still progressing and learning things and it's ever changing.
Yeah.
So,
and then you're pretty heavy on your nutrition. Are you pretty strict?
I don't know what's true. Like, it's all relative, right? So for me, I've always eaten pretty clean. And when I say clean, like I eat either eggs or oats in the morning. I eat protein and vegetables for lunch and I eat protein and vegetables for dinner. Like I've always kind of ate that way. I do find myself, wanting, when you start getting deeper into training, as like you start wanting a little bit more calories.
Yeah.
And I've just figured out ways around it, like sweet potatoes have become my, they become your best friend because they're, they're just good and they fill you up. But yeah, I stick pretty close to, honestly what I feel good doing. I've never really mapped it out because I haven't had to. Like I don't have these crazy cravings or anything. So yeah, I stick to
then you're
diet.
Pretty heavy on the supplements.
Yeah,
on
the supplement side.
So what do you do?
I typically do. So I have kind of a mix that I do before my training. And so the pre-workout that I designed, it's a low caffeine pre-workout. I mean, relatively low. It's 200 milligrams, and I only do half of it. Anything above 200 milligrams, you start dehydrating yourself, right? It becomes more of a diuretic. It's got good lactic
How much
acid.
is in a cup of coffee?
A cup of coffee is, I mean, again, depending on the size of your coffee, about 150.
Okay.
Right. So 200 is about a cup and a half of coffee, or like a venti.
When you say dehydrating yourself, how much?
I mean, again, everyone's body's different, but it basically gets to the point of your body starting to extract that water out. And so it's what most of the research I've found is that over 200 milligrams is when caffeine really becomes more of a diuretic than actually providing energy. And so I try to stay under that. The pre-workout also
is that per hour, or is that per, like, what's the...
Yeah. So basically within a 2-hour period, you can pretty much clear out. So caffeine has an 8-hour kind of lifespan,
right?
But really about 2 hours of that is where it can be affecting.
Okay.
The pre-workout also has lactic acid buffer, so beta alanine, multivitamin, basically for your bees. And then I love taking L-carnitine, and especially at lower aerobic rates, your body is looking for fat, and L-carnitine really helps your body identify and use fat efficiently. So I feel like that helps out with fuel a lot. I do fuel more with fats than I do with carbohydrates because I am keeping myself. So anything really below
that's not very common with endurance racers.
It's not. And you do hit a point where your body's looking for carbohydrates, right? But in most cases, you're training in a zone where your body's consuming more fat. And so I've never felt good with goos. I've never felt good with the high sugar. Like, it just fucks my gut up.
I think it fucks everyone's gut up, but it does give you that burst of energy.
That burst, right? I just prefer more sustainable forms. But yeah, the pre-workout. So I'll put the L-carnitine in. I do like riding with branched chain aminos and electrolytes. Those are the two I kind of feel like help maintain more lean muscle tissue. The electrolytes obviously keep me hydrated. And then anything where I'm going more than like 2 hours, I usually bring some kind of bar that has a lot more fat than carbs. So like some kind of nut bar. Pro bars I found work really, really well.
It's funny you're saying all this because I've been going away from my fats and more carbs because I'm like scared that and I wish I would stay on the fats.
So here's the deal. I'm not right?
Yeah.
And like we said, you can meet 10 different nutritionists that are going to tell you 10 different things. I just know how my body feels.
Right.
And I know that now, especially, I know the zones I'm keeping it. Like, I'd read all the stuff of like, well, if you're in a low, heart rate zone or lower aerobic zone.
So race day, when you're at a lactate threshold and you're going up there, are you going to take more carbs?
I do carbs before. So I eat a big bowl of oats, with blueberries. That's my pre-race meal. So I have enough glycogen in my system to really push through.
But that's going to go away. How quickly?
That I don't know. I feel good. So I've played around with this a lot. And I used to do, when I first started doing races, I always kind of had the oats, and then I take in, really fast burn carbohydrates, just sugar, right? Yeah. And the gels. And I never felt good. And I would always get to the point of, they call it Ironman gut, but your gut starts twisting and cramping.
I had it in marathons.
It's terrible. It's miserable. So I started just playing around with, these goos my body doesn't agree with. I'm going to get those out. Then I started playing around with just nuts, and like nuts are a pain in the ass because you have to chew them.
Yeah,
and,
hard to swallow.
And it's not good. So then I found these bars Pro bars are the one I like. It's a peanut butter chocolate bar. So it does have carbohydrates, but it's not straight sugar, and, from goo in this like crazy glycogen form. So I've found that just slowly eating on that on my bike gives me enough carbs, fat, and protein to just get me through. Yeah, to get me through the run. Yeah. And I've never felt to the point of like, oh my God, I'm completely like gone. The only other carbohydrate, I take that back, that I take is when I come in from the swim and when I come in from the bike, I pound a coconut water. So I am getting, some of those quick burn carbs and the sugar out of that. But you're getting electrolytes as well. Yeah. So the other thing I found with goos that I think a lot of people don't think about is you're putting this, the form that it's in, it's not a natural form. It literally coats your mouth and kind of covers your saliva glands. And so if you've ever been racing and you like take a goo, you get that energy spike, but all of a sudden your mouth is super dry. Like there's some effects that are not good.
No, I forget which ones I did in a marathon, and I needed them. I would get that burst of energy, but I remember one of them, I put like a coffee one in, and I was like, I almost started throwing up, and I was like, oh God, I'm never trying that again. Yep. And just find the ones that you like and the ones that you can stomach and then do them. But you'll get bored of them too if you do enough of them. Cause I was highly, I guess, glycolytic it is. And I had to, the way I burn, cause I go at such a
higher pace. Yep.
that I have to keep burning sugar. And when I run out of sugar, I bonk out. So I've got to keep putting it in.
Have you played with caffeine, the sugar caffeine ratio?
No, I haven't at all.
So that's another thing you can look at, because again, energy is relative, right? Like where you're getting your energy source from. I found that taking in, so that pre-workout I have, I put it in my bottles and I slowly sip it. So I'm slowly getting caffeine throughout the whole race. I like that a lot because it's not sugar. I don't feel, it doesn't mess up my stomach, but I definitely get, every sip, you're getting a little bit of that energy boost. And as you know, like when you've strung your body out that much, the nutrients you take in hit that much harder, right? Yeah. So like taking in 20 milligrams of caffeine when you're completely depleted is like pounding a cup of coffee, So, I would play around with that and see how you feel.
So when it came to the coconut water, did you, have you ever tried watermelon juice?
I haven't. I've read about it.
Yeah.
I really have just come to love coconut water.
Same here, but watermelon juice is amazing. And I saw a side-by-side comparison of like whatever the watermelon juice that I drink all the time, which is a really expensive type, against what's the really expensive watermelon juice that comes with the green cap and pink, Healthy Harvest. Yep. And I saw a comparison side by side, and it was like watermelon juice beat it in like everything. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder if I should do that when I'm, like out there, throw it in my, water bottle or something.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, the cool thing about this is like, you get to play around, like figure out what's right for you. Cause there's plenty of people that do great on, like there's people winning Ironmans that are taking in goos. Yeah. So like, don't listen to me. You know what I mean? Like it's all personal and what you feel good doing. Yeah. I've just found what makes me feel comfortable and like what I really like, I just feel my best. And I hate the feeling of just fucking that stomach feeling and that like lightheadedness. Like those are the two things that I look forward to least. And I try to mitigate as much as possible.
I would say the majority of the people listening to this are CrossFitters and they're going, hey, we just fucking pound steaks and then go work out for 8 minutes. And then, I worked out the other day. I went to Strip CrossFit here in Las Vegas, which is right next to the Strip on the other side of the 15. And it's great. Thanks for having me, guys. And the workout, I just looked at it and it was the first workout was kind of a strength workout and the second workout was a Metcon. And I looked at it like, this is simple. And the guy said, it's going to take you anywhere from 6 to 12 minutes. And I thought, I'll be somewhere in the middle. At like 11:30, I was finishing and I went, that was so fucking hard, but it's like 11 minutes, like doesn't matter what you ate, like you just need 11 minutes
exactly
of go. You could add carbs, you could add fat, you could add protein, whatever it is. I mean, if you ate it long enough, like a couple hours before, you've got enough calories to sustain you for 11 minutes of pushing to that threshold. You're not going to that point where your body's going, I'm out and I need help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're in that phase of producing a ton of lactate that your body's doing. And so
no, I'm not saying any food would be good for you, but I'm saying there's so many aspects of, your recovery or if it's going to be anabolic, if you want to build, the protein synthesis, you need all that other stuff.
Calories, right? Yeah. Like in a 8-minute workout, you are burning a lot of calories compared to an 8-minute bike, right?
Exactly.
But you burn a shitload more if you're on a 2-hour bike, right? Yeah. So that's the biggest difference is the pull, basically.
You're not going to bonk in an 8-minute workout.
No.
You're going
to die, but you're not going to die from nutrition.
You're going to die from a lactate threshold. Yep. You're not going to die from not enough glycogen.
A nutrient deficiency.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the point. Me, the idiot that I am, I'm trying to make.
But it is all, but to that point, if you do a work, like what I always tell people when they ask me what they should eat when they're training, like whether it's CrossFit, whether it's endurance, I'm like, think back to when you felt really fucking good in the gym, like that workout that you just crushed. Yeah. What did you eat the day before?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. And just take a mental note of that and then try it again and see if it plays out the same. Cause there are certain micronutrients that will affect you in different ways and that will help you sustain. And, so I tell people just play with what works for you.
And you're into CBD oil. So what do you do with that? Are you doing the creams or do you take it?
Just water. So when I was developing, I developed my supplement lines, and I was looking at CBD and it was just a very unique space. And I was looking at deliverables. So what would be the best deliverable? Gummy, tincture, tincture in the oils, pills. And what I found was the best deliverable was actually mixed in water because your saliva glands actually absorb a lot of it. And so I use it. Yeah, I use it for recovery. I take, eat 1 to 2 bottles of, it's sativa water. I drink it, after a workout and then before bed.
And when you're saying deliverable, it goes in your stomach, doesn't the hydrochloric acid rip it apart, or does it?
Well, because you're taking it, your saliva glands actually absorb a lot of it when you first start drinking it. So there's less that you have to worry about it going through your system. And it's basically, it can get into your system in a nano form. It can get into your system within minutes. Whereas most tinctures, oils, everything take about 45 minutes to go through the whole process. So it's just a faster deliverable. And I mean, and at the end of the day, when I look at supplements, it's all supplements are, right? Like you're just putting nutrients in as fast of a deliverable as you can. Like you physically couldn't sit down and eat 3 pounds of spinach. I mean, you could, but it would take you a while and be miserable. But you could juice 3 pounds of spinach.
Right.
Take it. That's technically a supplement, right? It's condensed nutrients. You can pound that down in seconds.
Right.
And so I look at all nutrition kind of that way. Like if there are certain micronutrients that you want in a faster deliverable and more concentrated, that's where supplements come in, and so CBD is just another form of that.
Sure. So I take vitamin C. I take lipospheric vitamin C every day. It comes in a liposomal form so it's delivered so I can get the majority of it. And because upping my mileage and putting myself out there, I've noticed the immune system just fucking goes.
Yep. Have you tried mushrooms?
No.
Mushrooms, man.
Really?
Mushrooms. I don't have a mushroom product. This is not like a plug. I'm developing one.
You mean like psychotropic?
No, not psychotropic.
You're just saying mushrooms like
mushrooms. So, for immune system health, chaga mushrooms, reishi, turkey tail.
So funny. I hate mushrooms,
dude. When you can take them in supplement form. So
I'm going to have to because I hate I don't like the consistency.
The texture of like eating mushrooms.
Yeah. They feel like bad meat.
Yeah. So in supplement form, again, it's the same thing, right? So they're taking to get you a gram of, and I don't know the exact ratio in mushrooms, the extract ratio, but usually like 10 to 1, right? So to get like a gram of, actually extract takes a lot of mushrooms. But you're getting a very effective dosage of all those phytonutrients. Mushrooms are, and this is, I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing. Mushrooms are the closest kingdom to humans, to the animal kingdom. So mushrooms actually breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide like us, where all the other plant kingdom breathes in carbon dioxide, breathes out oxygen. Mushrooms have kind of their own nervous system. Like it's very similar to our bodies, but anyways, there's a lot of benefits that come along with some of these. And from an immune system standpoint, chaga, turkey tail,
wow.
Like game changer.
Oh, I thought you just wanted me to get high.
No. So you can take them consistently.
Because they just legalized it.
I know
in Colorado.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
They didn't legalize. They decriminalized it, which is pretty much
legal.
Yeah. There's not going to be psilocybin shops opening up, but it's definitely more accepted.
I think, and it's also on the way then to make.
I'm sure.
And I think the funny thing we found about marijuana and the legalization of marijuana. It doesn't make people do it that weren't going to do it. Yeah. The same people that were going to do it are still doing it. Yep. It's not like, it's legal, now I'm going to do mushrooms.
And the same people who said it was bad are saying it's going to ruin society because it's legal now. It's like, it's just the same thing, man.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, if for as much as you travel and what you do physically, I'm telling you, man, mushroom, like you drink, they're bitter, right? So, there's a couple companies that make like mushroom coffee.
We had a mushroom tea company that was a sponsor of the show for a while.
Dude, I'm a big fan of that for immune system support. It's huge for especially how much taxing you're putting on your body, and just, you're depleting nutrients, right? So to maintain a healthy immune system, nervous system, everything, like you're actually as an athlete stripping out a lot of those nutrients you need to maintain a healthy body. And so, as much as you can find that helps that out.
So did this was it a hobby of yours or did you study this in school?
A complete hobby.
Really?
So, and I still, dude, I'm no scientist.
Yeah.
I know results that I want. I know feelings that I want. And then I have a pretty good, kind of knowledge in macronutrients, but I rely heavily on my compounding pharmacists and chemists that work within my manufacturer, to develop these. So it's much more, learning based on interest, and then just growing with kind of also my interest too. Like, when I first started looking at products, like I was going to put out a product that was artificially sweetened because I thought that was okay, like at the time. And then when I started going through all the motions, I'm like, there's no way I'm producing a product that's not natural. Like it's just,
so what do you use? Do you use stevia?
So stevia and some products, monk fruit.
Yeah, monk fruit's great.
So that's worked out well. And so I'm even pushing the limits more now. Like I do a really good job vetting out. So most supplement companies, they have their manufacturer. Their manufacturer sources raw materials from all over the world. The product company usually has no idea where those raw materials are coming from. They just know that their manufacturing facility has whatever certifications it is. So I go beyond that and I actually reach out and build relationships with my raw material suppliers. So I know, where they're coming from, but I'm trying to go deeper now into, okay, where's the original source? Where's this farm where the turmeric's being grown? Where is that, the land in China where the green tea is coming from? Like I wanted, cause dude, there's so much.
I'm the same way. And I do that. Like I found this restaurant that I love here, Protein Source.
Yeah. Yep.
And I go there every day. I get lunch and I get dinner there. It's unbelievable. And I had the woman that owns it, Brandy, really nice woman. She's co-owner at my show last night. And I was grilling her with questions about like, where do you get your vegetables? Where do you get your oils? And I felt like she wanted to murder me. And I'm like,
honestly, because she probably didn't know a lot of it, right?
She knew a lot. And and she is a really good chef that puts it all together. But I just felt like, who am I to be sitting here I've become that annoying vegan.
No, but you got the right to, right?
Yeah. But I felt bad because I've Gary Reinl was telling me, I had Gary Reinl on the show and he's a very hardcore vegan and he got an Impossible Burger or whatever. And he was like, oh, how's your Impossible? And they're like, oh, it's so great. And he goes, let me ask you, when you cook it on the fryer, do you cook it on the same fryer that they cook the meat burgers? And they're like, well, yeah. And he's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always tell people I'm 80% paleo or keto.
Yeah.
I go, I just had my breakfast and they put a biscuit on my plate and I was like, why'd you do that?
You're going to dominate it.
And I crushed that thing. I fucking hammered that thing down and I even put jam on it. It was like ridiculous. But for the most part, somebody will have candy or something and I'll just like the green room has these horrible granola bars and I'm just like, I'm
Nature's
about to go on stage right? and I'm like, and I'm like, I had 3 of them. So I'm 80%. So it's so funny that I'm so strict and then 80% of the time, and then I'll go off the handle.
You'll go the complete spectrum.
Yeah. But I can't.
I mean, here's the deal. Like, the crazy thing to me is, so supplements get a lot of bad rap for a lot of different reasons, right? But, to me, it's just another food product. And so I want to know where that source is. But like, you go to the grocery store, like that bag of rice you get is coming from rice fields all over the world. And that company producing that can't even tell you where that batch came from. Yeah. They just can't. And that's the way our food has gone. It's like, is most efficient as possible. And supplements are no different. And so I just like to know, again, like I take it I'm out there, right? Like I'm talking about my products. Like I want to know where they're coming from. I don't want to be, like a company behind the scenes, like, oh, we just buy it. Like, don't worry about where it's coming from. So yeah, I'm starting to dig more into that.
So your company's located here in Las Vegas.
So, I'm based out here in Las Vegas. We produce in Southern California. Oh, so that's why I'm back and forth.
That's why you go back. Yep. So where do you live in SoCo?
So Hermosa Beach.
Oh, nice. Yep. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Could have got you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate you doing it. And, they can find you. The best place to find you, I think, is on Instagram.
Yep.
What is it?
Daniel G. Cox.
Daniel G. Cox, COX. And, he's got a very, very active Instagram, and you can find out all the stuff you're doing on there and sponsors. And, it's great. And it was great meeting you. Your wealth of knowledge and, very, I could pick your brain for hours.
That'd be fun.
I'm the 68-mile race that I've gotten myself into. I'm a fucking, I created it. It's not even a race. We're going to go, I think the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
In November, and we're going to go the Backbone Trail, which goes from the Palisades,
the
Will Rogers State Park to Point Mugu State Park, over the mountains where all of the fires burned.
Yep. So Rich rolls out there all the time, right?
Yeah, Rich lives about a half mile away from me.
Nice.
So, we're going to go over that mountain chain, and it's 16,000 feet of elevation.
Oof.
And yeah, I know. And I've done like 2,500 feet.
I saw your Instagram the other day,
and I'm just
your mile looked good though.
Yeah, brutal. So I don't know what every once in a while I'll go, like if I leave my backyard and I go up, it's 2,500 straight up from my backyard. up the Backbone Trail, and it goes about 5 miles, 2,500 vertical. Or no, I'm sorry, 2,000. And it kills me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I go up and back down, and I'm like home, and I'm like, oh my God, that was like a 10-mile just hike. And I'll usually jog down, like I'll hike up, except for if any flat parts, I'll run.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how we're going to do the whole thing, because we have to do it to break 24 hours. We have to do 21-minute miles.
Okay.
And there are some super steep parts that you're not
prepared
ready
for.
And then there's all the breaks that you're going to want to take.
Yeah.
And no sleep.
Yep.
And I'm an idiot. Like,
that's awesome.
I just hate beating up my body, like to the point where I'm like, think I'm in like an immunosuppressant stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to be in that for 24 hours. Why am I doing this? And I'm all about like, what's my nutrition going to be? But we're doing it to raise money or raise awareness for the firefighters and their families that saved to all our homes are the ones that they did save. And, they saved mine. So it's the least I can do. And, a whole bunch of guys from the show. You're welcome to come with us.
We'll see how this race goes. But let
Yeah.
me know how I can support.
I've got a whole bunch of guys that are coming that are like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm coming. And I'm wondering, I've done stuff like this before where everybody's like, I'm coming. And then the day of, I'm like, where is everybody?
Yeah, exactly.
So I know I'll be there.
Okay.
Tommy Hackenbrook says he's coming. Hunter McIntyre's pussying out. Bobby Williams, Crazy Bobby, says he's coming. Mickey D is trying to switch his trip from India so he can come. Who else said they were coming? Dustin Fierro says he might come. All these guys who are like, most of these guys are also elite.
Yeah.
And I am below average.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to bring the baddest motherfuckers I can bring.
So then, especially when they don't show, you're like, "That's right."
Yeah.
Who's if
they don't show, I'm like, I'm the real man.
Yeah.
If they do show, I'm gonna be like, guys, can you carry me? Like,
need some support.
Show us how you're real men. Show us. Come on, you be the alpha male.
Yeah.
Carry me in this sled. So that's and the funny thing is, I keep talking about it because I think
you have to.
The more I talk about it,
100%.
The more I have to do it.
I have to post my work. Like, I don't have to post my workouts, but if I post a workout, like, hey, I'm going out for a 30-mile ride, like, it holds me accountable. Yeah, I get it, man.
Yep. So that's what I'm doing. So if anyone's getting annoyed by me talking about this is why.
Or come out and do it.
Yeah. Or come with us. Send me an email at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. Tell me you're interested in coming. That's wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. Or you can find me on Instagram. Make sure you message Dan here and tell him Daniel
G. Cox.
Daniel G. Cox at Daniel G. Cox, and send him a message. Tell him you liked him on the show and check out what he's working on. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Check out my tour schedule at eddieift.com. And thanks for listening. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me.